The final episode of Asia is called Saving Asia, and it's about people saving Asia's wildlife. So we open up with sun bears. We see people who rescue orphan sun bears, rehabilitate them, and release them into the wild. It's an interesting enough sequence. I think sun bears are cool to see. I like sun bears. I think they're pretty underrepresented in these kind of programs. It was cool seeing them rehabilitate them and release them, but it was nothing really new. I think I've seen that kind of sequence before, but it was still fun to see. Then we talk about songbirds. We talk about how songbirds get taken from the wild and become part of the exotic pet trade. I knew about that. However, I didn't know that people actually used them in competitions. Songbird singing competitions is actually a thing. I didn't know about that. That was interesting. And we see this one guy who's trying to save the Javan green magpie. In addition to rehabilitating them, he's having to go to people who poach them and convince them that there's a better way. And a lot of these guys end up doing tourism. I think that was quite interesting. It's not something I knew a huge amount about, so that was cool. Then we talk about these guys who actually save shark embryos. Basically, when pregnant sharks die, the embryos actually survive for a bit. So these guys get in, remove the embryos, and they put them in this solution that mimics the uterus. Really interesting. I didn't know anything about that. And we talk about bycatch. We talk about mobular rays getting caught in bycatch, and they put these lights on the nets to basically ward them off, so only target species are getting caught. I feel like bycatch has been talked about a lot before, so this was nothing really new. Then we talk about the Napoleon fish, which is a type of fish that is very rare, and they're protected, so handling them is very regulated. However, this one woman, who's a professor at the University of Hong Kong, realised that there was a lot of underground trading. Because they have identifying markers on their face, she noticed that multiple individuals were being passed off as the same one over a period of time, and she developed this app that can be used to identify individuals, and obviously that can be used to help regulate the trade. That was interesting. Then we discuss wildlife trafficking in Nepal, specifically pangolins mainly. We see this one guy who goes out to rescue various animals, and we see people getting prosecuted for handling pangolin scales. It's ultimately poor people that are doing this. We really need to target the root of the cause, which is the international trade and the organised crime that's predating off these people. That's nothing new. I feel like we all know about that, but it was still alright to see, I guess. I did find it interesting talking about how pangolins had moved into urban spaces, and I really sympathise with the guy who kind of felt at times like he was at the end of his rope with this a little bit. I can understand how you feel like you're not making a huge amount of progress, and ultimately it probably doesn't make a huge dent in the actual problem. They're only going to catch so many guys that do this. It's definitely the part of the episode that made me feel the most, I think. I definitely did feel for the guy in that situation. The last major bit of footage in the episode talks about, weirdly, dentistry. How dentists that go out to poor communities are treating people, and obviously these people, they want to protect the forest, but a lot of the time, because they've no money, they have to engage in logging, which isn't great for the animals that live there. This one woman set up a clinic in Borneo, which has become very successful, where basically people hand over saplings for dental treatment instead of money, and these saplings are used to rejuvenate the forest, and we see that animals are returning. That was really interesting. That was actually quite cool, so I like that as well. Overall, this episode is alright. These sort of environmental episodes are never the best parts of the series. They're usually the episodes that I would skip on the rewatch. This one, I probably will if I ever rewatch the series, to be fair. But it was still interesting. I think the highlights for me were the bits with the shark embryos. I knew the least about that, and obviously I felt a lot for the guy with the pangolins. That was good as well. So yeah, this series overall is alright. I would say it's not one of the best ones. I definitely preferred Mammals that came out earlier this year. It has a few really good episodes, but a lot more that are just kind of alright. So that's maybe a little bit disappointing. However, it's still a natural history programme with great production value, narrated by David Attenborough, and that's something we might not get for that much longer. So I think savour it while you can. So yeah, what were your thoughts on this episode and the series as a whole? Let me know in the comments below. Next week I'll be doing my top 10 list, so look forward to that. As ever, feel free to like, comment and subscribe, or don't if you don't want to. And as ever, I'll see you next week, and goodbye.